Good morning, I'm Will Stevens.
And I'm Shaun Robson.
And we're here at 9 a.m. on Friday the 5th of July to talk about what the general election results mean for savers and investors. So Shaun, we now know that Labour have won the 2024 UK general election. So why don't you talk about what that now means and what we can expect over the next couple of months?
Yes, thank you, Will. In terms of next steps, we expect the Labour government to take some time to form their government. That will happen over the course of the coming weeks. During that period, they will spend some time working with the OBR, looking at forecasts for the economy. That will help them form their opinion on what they might look to do at their first fiscal event, which we expect to take place in late September, early October, where we'll start to get a good understanding of the direction of travel for taxation in the UK under a new Labour government.
And in terms of that first fiscal statement, that first budget, what do we definitively know that will impact on savers and investors?
The government have been quite clear over the course of the last few weeks in their manifesto that there are three key areas they will look to almost ring fence and not change from a taxation point of view. The key ones being income tax, national insurance and VAT. There were some areas in their manifesto, Will, where they made it clear they will look to make some changes. Perhaps you could talk us through what that might look like.
So I think one of the big ones that we've talked about previously would be VAT on school fees. They've been pretty definitive on that. They intend to try and get that implemented immediately. Beyond that, they've also announced two reviews which will impact on individuals. The first is a review of the pension legislation landscape, and the second is a review of the carried interest system, which is used to remunerate those who work in private equity. So we know what they may touch on in that, but we don't know what may follow in the future. There's been a bit of speculation around other areas that they've been perhaps quiet on or sort of not engaging with the media on. Why don't you talk to us about a couple of the areas that maybe there's a bit more to think about potentially longer term?
I think there are two key areas where the Labour government have effectively been very quiet in terms of their commentary over the past few weeks leading up to the election. Those two areas being capital gains tax and inheritance tax. The fact that they left those two taxations out of their manifesto lead us to believe that they may well be areas that they will focus on in their first term of government. Now, we don't know if that's going to be something that will happen immediately, but it's certainly something that we're keeping an eye on, so something we'll continue to monitor as time progresses and we head up to that first fiscal event in late September, early October.
Thank you. And I guess the question that will come to a lot of people's minds is, well, with that uncertainty, what do I do today? And I think it's important that we would always encourage our clients to act based on the legislation as it is at the time, in the knowledge of what we do know. And what we do know is what the tax allowances are currently and what the sort of tax wrapper allowances are currently. So if you're wondering at home what you could be doing today, potentially considering the use of ISA allowances or pension allowances and making sure that you're making the most of what's available to you today is a good starting point to avoid any uncertainty moving forward. But speaking of moving forward in the future, what would it look like after that first fiscal statement in September and October?
Yep, so we expect to get a real good understanding of the direction of travel under a Labour government at the next budget statement in late September, early October. And then beyond that, governments tend to run into a cycle of two fiscal events per year. So we have an expectation on our side that second event would probably take place before the end of the tax year, potentially around March time as we head into a new tax year, where at that point we'll start to get a real clear understanding of the direction of travel under a Labour government and a real good understanding of potentially areas of taxation where they have been relatively quiet over the past few weeks.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Shaun. So from us, I guess it's a watching brief. We'll continue to keep you updated as things change moving forwards. So watch out for those regular updates. But if you are uncertain and if you would like any assistance for you or your family, please do feel free to get in touch. We've got a team of advisors here in the business who are ready to help.